it's kind of like it's kind of, it's not as black and white as that, but the process is of designing a boot, and we work on all the boots. It's a constant evolution of ideas. So we don't just start and stop. We're always thinking about the next things. But there is a point when Rudy and the team will kind of formalize a more sort of hard point, the briefing process. But we'll have probably had a lot of things cooking in the kitchen, as it were, of innovation before that. But then it's over to Rudy, where he'll create like not for just this project, but also the other parts that come with this range. And that's really the first time we kind of really draw a line in the sand and say, okay, in 2 years, whatever it be, summer 10, this is when we're going to launch this boot, and we have to then kind of pull in.
And my role, more specifically, and the team I'm part of, called product marketing, is clearly to define those windows of opportunities, or I may say identify consumer demand. So it's not only about deciding, work in a vacuum when we're going to say, okay, next Christmas we're going to launch the next, mercurial, and then June is going to be a CTR. It's also, we have to adapt to that rhythm, of product flow. So, and some products needs, actually the mercurial is probably the fastest evolving product, because the more impactful this color is, the more impactful the design is, the faster the consumer is going to get used to it and is going to demand something next, because I would say that consumer probably has the highest expectations of all our football consumers. Yeah. So you always need to be ready to exceed those expectations. So obviously, you need to be ready to bring the next best mercurial product. So that's probably the fastest life cycle. If I was to compare with Tiempo, which is more of a traditional black and white or white and black kind of leather boot, there's less demand for revolution of the process, a slower life cycle. So it's not, again, as simple as drawing a line on the table. We have a product life cycle. We also have like big events such as Euro Champs or World Cups. It's also based on those type of events, but it's clear about we have maxing that says the consumer decides, and clearly we play by that rule quite a lot. So we're really connected with consumers and professional athletes, and whenever there's demand, we have to be ready to fulfill those wishes.
Just to finish up, so once we get that brief, even before we'll be creating stuff. To be faster, we know we have to work on things. So we'll be working, creating ideas. We'll make prototypes. We have a lot of facilities in Poland, in Beaverton, where we can actually make test plates. So we actually have injection machines. We'll make everything. We'll actually test it scientifically. We have this amazing facility, like the sports research lab there. So what we're testing, is it quicker, is it better? And we'll be doing things like, taking this configuration, turning this, then retesting it, is it faster? Or moving it further up, is that faster? Then adding this, is that faster? We'll be doing a lot of tests, consistently trying to think of how to improve and then measure it. So we're always using science to kind of background our ideas. That'll be kind of revolving. Then when Rudy comes in and gives us a brief, it's like, okay, now we have to kind of bring a lot of these ideas together and formulate what's the sort of vision we can create. For me, it's my time to dream a little bit. What's my sort of vision of where the product's going, and then it's really kind of refining back in. So really bringing all the details that's very understandable to the consumer. So obviously these don't look like every other stud we've got, because there's functional reasons why it looks like that. But again, we maximize that visually as well, so it's very intuitive. I think we do best at Nike when we're really intuitive to the consumer. They look at it and they go, I get what that does, that's obviously to be fast. And if you look at some of our other boots, like a T90, it's obviously for whacking the boot. And the CTR, we have a pad, so it's very intuitive. So everything we do, we're trying to make very intuitive design. And then at the same time, we'll be, measuring things scientifically. Now we'll be making multiple rounds at the upper. So we made 43 rounds of upper just to make sure it's absolutely spot on. And what we have a process, to slow motion capture with somebody's foot in there to see how much your foot's moving off the plate. Then we'll go and redo the cables, re-engineer the materials, refilm, redo, refilm, just to really create absolute perfection. And when we're creating a product like this, we want to create absolute perfection in what we can deliver. So that process kind of rotates and rotates until we feel like we're in a really good spot. At the same time, we're working on kind of like the visual. We actually sounds a strange word, but we prototype a lot of color. So we'll be asking like for I need 20 different types of color, and then we'll use like colored swooshes and colors to map onto those to see, hey, does that color look good? Does that tell the right sort of visual acuity story we're after? And then we'll kind of pull everything together. You know, we'll kind of, the idea of this bit was more like to be one color, two color. But then when you filter that through this mercurial aspirational kind of filter, it becomes more blended to more explosive graphic design. So it's not just black, white. We kind of put it through this really kind of final mercurial aesthetic filter. And then you kind of come out with the final sort of aesthetic stroke functional product all kind of combined together.
So we only have a couple more minutes. I want